at 6 o'clock, let's go ahead and call village board order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank everyone for their attendance, and if the minutes can reflect the role of the various trustees and staff, let's move on to item 3. I entertain a motion for the approval of the A3 Village Board minutes in the file of the 514 Architectural Review Board, 611 Architectural Review Board, 623 Plan Commission, 7/6/2020 Finance Committee, 7/13 Board of Public Works meeting minutes as presented.
I make the motion to approve. Second.
Motion and second. As always, comments, questions, clarifications on the minutes?
I have a correction, Mr. President.
Okay.
On the village board meeting minutes of August 3rd, on the second page, under resolution committing John Sastrom, it states Bill Dickman in both those paragraphs.
Yeah, you're right.
Good point. Good catch. Others? Okay, with that correction, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm sorry, who made the motion and who seconded?
I've got trustee Antoine with the motion, trustee Miller with the second.
Thank you.
All right, anybody in the audience wishing to be heard on non-agenda items? Non-agenda? Okay, let's move on to item 5. Information has been distributed in the normal fashion. Let's move on to item 6, resolutions, ordinance, action items. Item A is an item that comes directly to village board in order to expedite a request. Jessica?
She
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
I can take a quick high-level look at it. Director Wolf can help fill in any blanks that I leave. Right now, we have looked to implement a building permit software system. The one that we have is quite dated, and it has very little technical support left with it. That said, we did take it out of the 2020 budget due to constraints. Over the course of this year, we did come to find out that it may be eligible for CARES Act grant funding. The reason for that potential eligibility is because this new software system actually helps with online permit submittal as well as permit issuance, thereby significantly lowering the need for face-to-face appointments at the point of sale. That said, we want to look to get a better handle on this determination of eligibility before moving forward with it, because again, it is unbudgeted for 2020. So that said, put forth the information here this evening talking about what software is, you know, the old software we have in place, what we're looking at applying for, and that we'd like to have request authorization that we look to submit the necessary information to determine that eligibility. Now that said, this software package, the CARES grant, would look to cover that, but please know moving forward in years to come there would be, as with many of our other software packages, the licensing fees associated with it. But this initial startup and get going, we would look to have funded by the grant. I'd like to open up the microphone to Director Wolf to see if she has any additional information for us.
I don't have any other comments. If the board has any questions, I'd be happy to help.
Do you want to speak a little bit to the challenges of the current software package?
Certainly. So the current software system that we have, Permit IT, was adopted by the village in 2006, I'm told. And that was when we switched from paper record keeping to this software. It was fine at first, especially when we had a relatively low permit volume. But now that we're seeing such increased activity in permits, we really need a more robust system that has a public-facing component to allow the public to be able to enter all that information in themselves, and so that our staff can be able to process those electronically as well. And obviously the safety component is a big concern at this time, because the waiting area in inspections is relatively small as well.
Any other questions for Jessica? Yes, sir.
Yes, Jessica, did the old software have a licensing or a subscription fee as well that will be offset to some degree, I hope?
It will be offset some degree. It's about $2,000 a year. So having a more robust, complicated system, the annual subscription fee is about $14,000 every year. So there will be an increase in costs.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? The action item is a motion to authorize staff to submit the necessary information to determine if the building permit software is eligible for reimbursement through COVID-19 CARES Act funding.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion and second, final comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Let's move on to item B before the Finance Committee. As one item is to approve the proposed changes to the capital asset capitalization process policy and to approve the contributed capital policy.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second, this was discussed at Finance at length. Any questions regarding this to Paul? Motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Item C is report of the Board of Public Works. We have two items. Item 1 is a motion to approve and adopt a resolution accepting the 2019 compliance maintenance annual report to CMAR and submittal of the report electronically to the DNR as required to be approved.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion second. For those who are not aware, this is one of the shining stars for the Water and Wastewater Department. I think it's been 8 years, 9 years that they've had a no action required review. So this is a very good, I think, I would say an excellent mark for Water and Wastewater and the management and the team that works on that group. So just congratulations for that. Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Item 2 is a motion to authorize the Department of Public Works to put the Holder articulating tractor on public auction for a minimum bid of $30,000 with the intent to then use budget savings and sale revenues to purchase a replacement piece of equipment be approved.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion and second. Do you want to give us a little rundown on the woes of this particular piece of equipment, Amber?
Sure, I can do that. So the village purchased this piece of equipment. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. The village purchased this piece of equipment in 2012, and at that time it was really the only type of equipment that was available that had kind of the articulating movement and would do what we needed it to do for sidewalks and some of the other operations that we use it for. But it has been kind of a maintenance nightmare. Since I have started 3 years ago, it has been in the shop the majority of the time since I have worked here. I don't even know where it parks in our shop other than, or in our building, other than in the shop to get fixed. It's very hard to get parts as they come either from Canada or from Germany where the piece of equipment is originally built. It seems like at this point, every time we take it out to use it, it breaks down. And we're down for a minimum of weeks at a time waiting for parts, sometimes more up to a month. So we've been working since that time. There are a lot of newer pieces of equipment that have been started to be made in the United States that would do the exact same type of thing for quite considerably less money. So we're hoping that we can still get a good value in putting this up on auction and use those revenues as well as some savings from our other capital purchases this year to be able to buy something that's more reliable.
And that's the only piece of equipment that we use to do sidewalks?
It is. We have a few other things that we can use that are either too wide, the bucket's too wide, so it tears up kind of the side, the grass on either side, or they just move at a very slow pace and take many, many more labor hours to clear.
Questions for Amber?
How much did we pay for this? You have any idea?
About $150,000. So,
If you don't get that minimum bid, what's going to happen?
right, then we are going to have to continue working through fixing it and maintaining it.
And the new one's going to cost how much?
I want to say between 60 and 90, depending on which piece of equipment we go with.
Thank you.
Other questions for Amber? Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Move on to Department and Officers reports. Jesse, you want to get started?
Sure. Outside of the lengthy report I gave following my time away, I did have a couple of items to report to the board this evening. The recent August partisan primary election saw a 29% voter turnout. for such a unique and small election. That's a pretty solid turnout for our community, with approximately 1,500 ballots being cast. So long and short of it, 1,600, excuse me.
No, absentee ballots.
Absentee ballots, thank you for the clarification. So that being said, even being considered a quote-unquote off election or small election, our clerk's office was quite busy. So long and short, we are looking forward with bated breath to the presidential election this fall. So, resident revaluation, our property revaluation project here in the village being carried out by our assessing firm. The residential portion of it is complete. They are in the process of finishing the commercial properties revaluation over the course of this week. That said, some preliminary information will be forthcoming to the board with regards to the results of their work. So, other than that, again, I did have a pretty lengthy weekly bulletin, so any items were reported in that fashion.
Okay, we have good representation from staff. Any questions for Jesse or anybody else? Go ahead.
Jesse, I asked you about this a few weeks ago. When you sent out your last 2 weeks ago, your weekly report, you commented and included the Ozaukee County Board minutes.
Yes.
And one of the things that I found interesting was that they passed a resolution requiring all citizens to wear masks when they come into the county building to attend meetings. And I didn't know if that was something we needed to also do. I know it's recommended. Do we follow the guide of the Ozaukee County Board and ask for that also of our citizens?
That would be an agenda item at the purview of the village board. That being said, we are under the governor's orders right now, so we are to mask up. That being said, again, if the village board would want to take up such a action item, I can place it on the agenda. That's not a problem. So I guess
that says we are under the governor's order correctly.
I don't think we need to. And if it changes, then maybe we can bring it up.
Yeah, feel free to reach out to the village president and then dictate to me as to an action item for the village board. Not a problem.
And then my second question was, I know, Amber, we had talked at Public Works about the adaptive management total phosphorus removal. And I had asked the gentleman that was there about, who were the farmers that had obtained the grant money from the village.
Sure.
And, he was a little leery to give me the list of people. And it seemed to think that that was, negative towards them, to have their names out there. So I guess I don't know if this is something that might need to weigh in on later. I feel like if we're, handing some money over, whether it's grant money, it's not a bad thing that we're giving you money. Why would we have to keep their names secret? So I don't know if somebody can look into that, because that's what was told to us.
Although he did share the names with you,
He
correct?
shared the names
Okay.
with me,
Yep.
but does that mean I can share the names with others? My question was, those people were listed as a number,
Correct.
Yes, the
Correct, so
address
we
was
didn't
listed
put
as a
their
number.
names out everywhere.
Right,
Yes.
right. So that's a question I had for Mike, I guess.
Amber's actually provided some information on that to me, and I'll be talking to her this week about that, so we'll take up your question as well, trustee.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay.
Jesse, in your bulletin, new director, Park and Rec, 25 applicants. Tell me what the process is from here going forward, and I've had a question from someone on Park and Rec board. Will we get a chance to be involved in that at all?
Well, historically, all the hiring does come through the village administrator's office as the chief HR officer. That being said, I am right now in the process of going through the 25 applicants. I am very fortunate to have an amazingly competitive recruitment. We have a couple of seated directors and plenty of coordinators, program coordinators, so a very qualified batch. So there's going to be an extensive review of the application materials. That said, I am envisioning a two-stage interview process where we look to bring folks in for the first round and then look to whittle it down. I am working on finalizing the panel of phase part 1 and part 2. to make sure I get good representation, as this position does interact with different departments in different ways, but also interacts with such entities as the Chamber of Commerce. So really looking to get a good balance that way as well. So frankly, to your point, Trustee Miller, I am working on finalizing that process. I don't have an exact roadmap right now.
Okay. Just please get back to me so I can report to the board as well.
Absolutely.
Anything else? All right, quick point of order, item 1 under report of public works is a resolution, so if anybody wants to throw out an offer, I didn't catch that.
I'll offer.
Thank you. So we can update the minutes for that. All right, let's move on to item 8, licenses. We have a list of 3, the places of employment are listed, entertaining that motion for approval.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. For the bills, entertain a motion for the approval of village expenditures, $710,734.34.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, motion second. Nice round of questions and feedback went around. Any further questions on the bills? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Item 10 is a motion to convene the closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19851C for personnel matters administrator evaluation.
I'll make the motion.
Second. Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 We are in closed session. I don't expect this to take more than 10, 15 minutes.